One thing both of these candidates agree upon, though, is that our tax code, which has faced gridlock of its own, needs adjustments. Let's bring in one of the nation's foremost expert on taxes. He is Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. We found that very interesting, that it is gridlock. But what I want to do is pull out a couple of scenarios here and have you comment, and these are day after election day scenarios, have you comment on the chances that we would see any kind of movement on taxes. Number one, let's start with this one. Let's say Hillary Clinton wins, but the House and Senate stay red. Now, compromise would be such a difficult thing to reach, would it not? Or do you eventually see that we could see some movement on fixing the tax code in that scenario?
When her husband had a Democrat House and Senate, he raised taxes. When the Republicans had the House and Senate, he cut the capital gains tax. So it is possible that while Hillary's campaign has all been about raising taxes, she has not supported reducing anybody's tax rates, not rich people, not poor people, not companies. We desperately need corporate rate reduction. She opposes that now. If she's president with a Republican House and Senate, it is possible, because the need is so overwhelming and she may want to do something, that she could agree to take that corporate rate down.
I just want to let our viewers know that we do see a plane landing. We're trying to figure out if that's the Trump press plane or whether Mr. Trump is on that plane. We're keeping an eye on the picture and continuing with Grover. I apologize for any interruption, Grover, if Mr. Trump does come out. But so what I'm hearing you say is that when Bill Clinton was president and his feet were held to the fire by a Republican House and Senate, actually got some things done. Don't you think that maybe there's a chance that he would then advise his wife Hillary, if she were president, to give in and do the same thing?
Yes, and she has watched Obama take the position of not compromising on anything and nothing moving except when he just flat out lost on issues. The spending sequester, he was defeated. His demand for a $1 trillion tax increase was defeated. His opposing the Bush tax cuts, we got 85% of those renewed. So it's possible that she could change her campaign position and agree to reduce marginal tax rates, particularly on businesses. But we should remember, she has campaigned saying she wanted to raise taxes on everybody.
Because she's appealing to her base. But you give people who are not for Hillary a slight ray of hope if she is elected. Let's now say to the other scenario, Donald Trump wins. Let's say he wins, and the House is held by Republicans and the Senate is held by Republicans. So you've got all red. That may seem to be a positive, except that he's been calling for tariffs on Chinese imports. That is not something that traditional Republicans would seem to like. And he's also, by the way, imposed punitive taxes, said he would impose punitive taxes on companies like Ford and maybe Carrier if they went to the free market to manufacture outside the U.S. Would he stand some resistance from a Republican Congress on those issues?
Okay. What he has put forward in an actual tax plan, as opposed to some campaign speeches, is calling for taking the corporate rate from 35% down to 15%. That's almost exactly what the House Republicans with Paul Ryan want to do. They take it to 20. He takes it to 15. They both do full territoriality. So we only tax what happens inside the United States. And they both have full expensing. Those three are the big three, and they reduce marginal tax rates for all individuals. Those four things are the big things that they could agree on in an afternoon because their plans are so similar. There are some areas on trade where he's a different approach, but if we cut taxes as much as he wants to, many of our trade problems are solved if we stop regulating our companies to death, taxing them to death, and litigating them to death. Then our competitiveness improves. Our problem isn't China. Our problem is Washington, D.C.
Okay. Grover, I'm sure what you just said is music to business owners' ears, and we've got a lot of viewers who run or work in businesses. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday.
Good to be with you.
We were here Saturday, too, Grover.
That's true.
Grover Norquist, Americans for Tax Reform president.